Well, hey there, and welcome back to the Midwest Basement, where we celebrate Midwest taste in a classic Midwest environment. Happy August, folks. That means it's hot, humid, and Door County cherries are ripe for the picking. That may or may not come into play later. We've got some really fun finds this month that I'm excited to share with you all. But first, I wanted to remind everyone, none of this content is sponsored. We just like showing good local finds with good local people. Now, should we get those good local people a beer? This month, we're going a little crazy, or a little less crazy, by celebrating NA style with the Florida Weisse by Untitled Art. That's right, this is a non-alcoholic beer. Well, technically it's 0.5% ABV. Made in the Berliner Weisse style and made with real passion fruit, pink guava, and cranberries. Now, I chose an NA beer because honestly, someone has to be the designated driver from a barbecue or home from Lake Day. And we still want those DDs to be drinking something tasty. And I chose Untitled Art because, well, again, I wanted a delicious non-alcoholic beer. And in my humble opinion, Untitled Art has this on lockdown. They currently have 11 different ones of these out on the market, and they are killing it with the taste and flavors. They opened in 2016 and put a big emphasis on weird, one-of-a-kind beers. Most of their beers are limited time offerings, or LTOs, and they take care to do a bunch of collab brewing as well. They don't have a standalone tap room, but they are partnered with Octopi Brewing in Waunakee, Wisconsin, which is just about a 20-minute drive northwest of Madison. There you can get pretty much all of Untitled Art stuff in cans and on draft. They also have a really cool program working with local visual artists to create all of their can art. So let's crack this one and see what she's up to. Nice crack. I think I expected it to be more pink. There was definitely some fruit pulp coming there at the end. So before you crack into one of these, I would recommend rolling the can just slightly, not to agitate the carbonation too much, but to get that fruit flowing throughout the entire beer. Oh, wow, is that fragrant, and I haven't even put my nose by it yet. That smells so tropical, and I'm really excited to get into this. I think the guava is really coming through on this. And you know, recently I learned that guava is actually a very cheap fruit to buy, which is why it happens to be in a lot of sour and fruit beers out there right now. It's a good patter, and it smells delicious. Well, I'll be damned. That tastes like a fruited Berliner Weisse. I'm gonna say it definitely comes across a little bit more fruity than it does beer-y, but wow, if that is not really refreshing. The carbonation is great. I would almost call this bordering on a smoothie beer. It's pretty thick, but the carbonation is there enough to cut through that. It's definitely a little tart too. It's making my mouth water when it hits the back of my mouth. If you're a fan of Berliner Weisses, if you're a fan of fruit beers, if you're a fan of sours, I would recommend this beer. If you're a fan of just good non-alcoholic drinks, I would recommend this beer. Well, that was fun and different. But now let's move on to something equally as different and maybe a little bit weird this time. This month, we're drinking Hot Mess by Forgotten Fire Winery. Just appreciate the label for a second. We've all been there, right? Okay. The reason I called this weird and different is because it's actually a 50% cherry, 50% red wine blend. Odd? Yes, I know, but technically you can make wine from pretty much any fruit. And Wisconsin has a plethora of cherries, especially at this time of year. And due to the fact that Old World grapes don't really do well this far north, Wisconsin actually does produce a fair amount of fruit wine. So I figured we'd do a local wine every month, we have to give a fruit wine a shot. Hot Mess is a sweet blend. It uses Door County cherries, but I could not find the grape varietals that make up the red wine portion of it. Their website describes this as mild and sweet with hints of cherry. Go figure. And best served chilled. This wine won the International Double Gold Medal of Best in Class at the Wisconsin State Fair and was voted Best Fruit Blend in Wisconsin in the Midwest Wine Challenge. Before we pop it, let's talk about Forgotten Fire. Forgotten Fire Winery is located in Peshtigo, Wisconsin, and was opened in 2011 by Joe and Lindsay Callow. They started with just 5 acres of land, making 4 white wines and 3 reds. Since then, they've grown into 20 acres with 30 total wines alongside hard ciders and sodas. So I guess let's pop her and see what all this fuss is about. Oh, nice pop. You know, it's a really interesting color. When you look at it from this way with light directly on it, it's definitely more pinkish reddish hue, but when I look down or to the side, it's almost a russet color. So there's a little bit of rust, a little bit of burnt orange in it. Very interesting. Smells like fruit wine. You know, it smells really similar to the New Glarus Serendipity beer. Yeah, I'm not sure how to describe this. It smells like fermented cherries, smells like fruit beer, smells like fruit. Not getting a lot of red wine on it, but let's see what it tastes like. Huh. So when I think of fruit beer, I think of really sweet. And even the description of this on their website said this is sweet. Now, it does have sugar in it, I'm not gonna lie, but I would almost put this in more of a tart category. And especially because there is just the slightest bit of carbonation here. It honestly does taste really similar to the New Glarus cherry fruit beer. This is really tasty. I would say though, this doesn't really taste like red wine. So if you're looking for a robust, juicy, tannin, big red, don't go here. However, if you're looking for a fun, different, very summery, local Wisconsin wine, you can't get more Wisconsin than cherries. This is really fun, and I can see why it won some medals. It's not cloyingly sweet, it's not syrupy, and it has the flavor of cherries without being overwhelming, and it's very refreshing. Well, that was a wild ride. Let's finish off this month's picks by diving into our spirit of the month, which again is kind of different and fun. This month, we're drinking Hatch Distilling Company's gin. I just had to pick a gin in the middle of summer because nothing screams summery cocktail like a G&T to me. Now, what's fun and different about this is that this gin is actually distilled from 100% raw honey. How cool is that? They say it creates a viscous mouthfeel that hits taste receptors right on the tip of your tongue, creating a perceived sweetness. But being gin, it's also distilled with new growth white spruce tips and common juniper berries. So altogether, it has a nice balance of juniper, citrus, and floral notes. Hatch Distilling has an interesting story behind it. Located in Egg Harbor, Door County, Wisconsin, it was opened by husband and wife team Chris and Emily. Before opening the distillery, they were, and still are, beekeepers. And over the years, one hive turned into many. And out of that grew their idea to create craft spirits out of that raw honey that their bees produced. They currently have 8 different spirits on the market, and a lovely distillery you can tour and have a drink at the bar up in Door County. So let's give this a taste, shall we? I am really curious. Ooh, that also had a nice pop. Well, smells like gin. You know, I might be saying this just because I know it's made from honey, but it does smell a tad bit sweeter than some gins. Oh my, that's good. Ooh, it keeps changing. Guys, this is good. Okay, this is an interesting one. If you like more sweet floral gins, I think I would recommend this to you. I will say the floral aspect is a little bit not there, but the sweetness, it definitely comes through at the end, that there is a little bit more sweetness, honey flavor, honestly, at the end. The beginning is still a little bit alcohol burny, I will say. Then it moves into a really delicious juniper and tree flavor. Personally, I really like that sprucey flavor in my gins. I prefer the green over the flowers. And this is delicious. But then at the end, it really tames down with that honey. You know, I was really hoping that this gin would be great for dry martinis, and I think it's gonna be. I think this is gonna make a mean martini. This with a little dry vermouth and a twist of lemon, that is really gonna be good. And because it is a little sprucey and junipery, I do think it's gonna hold up to tonic, which is why I tend to stay away from the floral gins, because I feel like sometimes those get just lost in the tonic water. This, I'm pretty sure this is gonna be good. Well, that's it for us down here in the Midwest basement. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss a taste. And we will see you back here in September for back to school wine for you parents out there. Cheers.